as Ajahn just said, today is Alberto's day because he's popped out of the screen and is joining us here. And I've just been discussing a few of his topics he would like. Yes. About the hot seat. Yeah.
Why is this seat so hot?
Hot seat here.
Well, for me it's hot, but maybe for you it's cool.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, those hot seats here.
If you feel like you want to get up and leave, run away, then it's a hot seat, but otherwise it's not.
Alberto's first topic is about nimitta, and then nimitta and kalapa. So go ahead.
I've heard you saying, talking about the seeing. One moment of seeing is like one dot on the page of paper. So it's not really anything, because one dot on the paper has no shape, no form, no. So it needs many moments of seeing to appear as with shape and form. And also seems like it also takes, if it takes many moments, also many moments, it means like seems like it takes longer than it actually takes, because it seems instantly the shape and form appears, but because we don't really we are unable to discriminate all the uncountable moments which make up the table or the chair, and so it's that when it's not a dot, it has to be many to be meaningful. It has to be uncountable dots, uncountable moments on the so that it can appear as shape and form of as an emitter of the reality, and it's not like but it's not like we can. It is an emitter because it is, even if it is the reality, it is. It looks like one single moment, even if it's so uncountable moments, but because of just one reality appearing, it's the limit of one reality. It makes it makes up the, like joining all the dots on the paper, and it makes makes up the shape and the form, and that's already the paññāti. The concept is not the pure nimitta anymore. It's
So what is seen now?
now.
Let's start. What is seen? It's seen already, but what is it which is seen?
Is there another question?
And only this, see, what is seen, or only this, what is seen, is that which is seen, when it's just a little dot. We do not take it for anything at all. But when it's there, even that big enough to be taken as a spot of light, even we don't use any word at all, but in mind, it's there as a little dot of light. Blue. And is this blue? Not blue. So what appears just different moment cannot be known at all. At moment of seeing this and at moment of seeing this, different moment. And this is life from moment to moment and from one moment only to another one moment, on and on and on. So if we don't think about it, but the way it looks is just like now, as usual. And who knows that even right now, that which appears has gone completely, all gone, all the time.
No.
Is that true? Just think about the truth, that's all. That's why the teachings of the Buddha is so very subtle, because reality is so very subtle. He taught that whatever arises falls away. So now, whatever arises to be seen falls away. And since it's so true, it can be directly experienced when Panya is there, letting go just a dot of light. Only that which is like a flash, appearing and then gone. Until before it can be a dot of light, blue light. So just consider what is true and what is not true. What appears as a dot, is it true? Because it appears like that. But in truth, it's seen and it's not the whole blue dot. It's just a very tiny reality which impinges on the eye base. More and more on and on until it appears as shape and form to be taken for this is not this, not this. So what is the absolute truth?
Yeah, it's nimitta though.
A reality, each one is different. What is seen is not the seeing. And when there's no seeing, this cannot appear at all. Only when it's seen, right, then it's this taken from many, many moments, unknown moments, to condition such idea. Just to consider the truth, that's all. What is true. And what is the absolute truth? Seeing and that which is seen. So only the word that which is seen, see, only when it's seen. And seeing is so very, very fast arising and falling away. So that is also arises and falls away when there's no seeing, no object of seeing appear. Is that true?
Yeah, it can be true when there is understanding.
It can be. Oh, it's true. So true, unknown.
But it is true when it's understood.
When there is more understanding that what we take for this, in truth, just one dot, cannot be any dot, blue dot, as big as this. When there's lightning, short or long, and what is there? Only that which is seen. So how many moments to become such this? To be known or see as something, dot, a dot. Just begin to understand and be truthful to the truth. The truth of whatever appears is that not as it is, not as it appears at all. That's why one can understand the absolute truth, the very subtle absolute truth. So subtle. It takes time after hearing about the truth, not forgetting. And it depends on conditions. Whether there can be the moment of thinking about it, remembering what is heard, as it's now that we've seen the truth of it.
When we hear the truth, we try to understand it. I mean, I can talk for myself. I really can feel the truth of the words of the Buddha. I can. It's like when hearing about places where maybe you've been once but you forgot about, and it's really challenging because there is so many so little memories about the truth, but so many memories about the untruth, the situation, the story, and the reaction to the seeing and to the other and to the other doors, the other 5 doors. But the words of the Buddha really needed to begin to think, get closer to the truth, and begin to understand it intellectually. The words are the truth, are not the refer to something which is not word, but which is more than just word. Is the reality of the moment in which which we live, which we experience. It's really long way for beginners like me and others. But it's good to know that there is no shortcut. So we don't expect too much from ourselves.
Would you like to understand many things, or just one thing or one reality at a time? Otherwise, it cannot be right understanding of anyone when they are together. So just one word, Buddha. See, the enlightenment, what does it mean? Enlighten the truth of whatever is now, no matter what. So there must be something. We use the word something. And what is the truth of that something? Is there something? And what is the truth of that something here and there? Not at the same time, just one at a time. That's why I listen to what is meant by reality. See, what is real? Just one reality. For example, while you are talking, were you just thinking as I think about that and spoke that words, many words about now? Just think about it. But thinking is not seeing, it's not hearing. So in truth, is there I or anyone in truth or anything? Or what is there is only a reality appearing one at a time. Sounds, see, who makes it arise? Impossible by conditions and gone. That's why just one word, what is real and what is a reality? So what can be taken for I at the moment of seeing? Because moment of seeing, no one moment of seeing to be truthful. When seeing is there, arising and sees, a moment of seeing, a moment of thinking, a moment of liking, moment of getting hungry. Each moment is there and then gone. Just learn to be truthful to the truth. Can anyone make it arise? No one at all. Actually, what is what cannot be changed. Seeing is seeing. Now, it's not I see or Alberto see or anyone see. Seeing arises here and there, just sees. That's all. Is this true or not? Just begin to be truthful to the truth. In order to have more understanding of the truth, of what is there. Now, gone away, instantly, not be there anymore. Just have confidence of the truth. And this is the only way to let go wrong understanding, which takes seeing for I see or someone sees. In truth, seeing is gone. And there is only thinking, which is not seeing about that which is gone. Not as it has gone, but the idea of its I is there. Just a moment ago, I see. Just a moment ago, I hear, see. But in truth, where is the seeing and the hearing? They are gone completely, never to return. Just understand the truth, only that. And the understanding works its way to get more and more closer to the truth. Have confidence of the truth as no one and no thing at all. Just arise and falls away only once in samsara. The circle of birth and death, only once, never to return at all. Just have confidence, and confidence is the confidence of right understanding of the truth. It's not I. At moment when it's not truthful to the truth, not I again, not anyone, just different realities from moment to moment in life, in samsara. Just have understanding little by little. And no one at all can have this and that. It's conditioned to arise, to perform its function, and then gone.
Yeah, when we experience something pleasant, of course we are attached to it, and as something which is happening to me, and when something unpleasant appears, there is even there is no attachment at the moment. It's still I am experiencing the unpleasant situation or object, or and it's it's not like it's not like understanding the reality, and we that's why it's so difficult for me and anyway to be truthful to the truth, because the truth is not known when there is cannot be known by attachment and by without hearing that, I would never thought about one moment of seeing it as not me. Anything is. It was me before hearing was always me before hearing, and it will be always me in next in next life, if not hearing if not hearing the teachings. So I suppose just a way to thank you. Really, really great to have the opportunity of listening to the truth.
So, likewise, John has given for us, and I'd just like to add to your comments that I think for all of us, to a greater or lesser extent, it's the same, that the truth is not known. However, there is the opportunity to consider whether the description of the truth that we've heard from the Buddha through Ajahn, whether our experience in life is consistent with that truth or not. So even though the truth itself isn't revealed, one can perhaps acknowledge that, yes, it will possibly be like that. There's nothing in our experience that indicates that it can't be that way. And so we don't need to accept a truth that we haven't come to realize. We don't have to accept on faith, but then we don't reject either. It's just that we are fortunate to have heard that description and can reflect upon it in daily life.
As I said, this my own experience is like that, because I was going to meditation center, and the usual Buddhist thing, and until that's same for every one of us here. Until we listen to Ajahn, the words of the Buddha was like science fiction, in the sense that it had any let's say any point of contact with the reality, and Ajahn is the missing link to get in touch with that reality, which is the absolute reality we are talking about. Well, that's my experience. As I said, I'm not talking for myself, of course.
Back to now, and as Ajahn said, one word, now. So like now, if there is trying to understand while listening, so at the moment of trying, is it Dhamma?
No, trying is Loba.
Okay.
It's Loba trying.
It's Loba, or the wrong idea of I that is trying. But even at that moment, no matter what it's called, because it doesn't need a name, but there can be understanding right now at that moment, because it's just Dhamma, it's just reality, actually not I. So even at that moment of wrong understanding or lobha, there can be understanding at this very moment, seeing now, hearing now, trying to understand now, or even when there's the idea of my unpleasant feeling. So even at that moment of clinging to my unpleasant feeling, there can be understanding. So whatever appears, it is now and then gone instantly. So it's not a matter of minding or trying not to try to understand, but just understanding the nature of that Dhamma. Because even ditthi, if it's not understood when it appears, then it can never be worn away. So it's always fact.
Perhaps, it takes the words of another. There is the condition for right understanding is the word of another, and one owns accumulation. Let's say. I think, so we need both.
Moments of listening, moments of trying to understand or trying to follow. Actually, it's not the words, but just at that very moment, even now, it can be understanding. And that's what the teachings are about, the understanding now of that reality as just Dhamma, not my trying or my unpleasant feeling, just that reality.
Yeah.
But as you say, it's true without the Buddha's teachings, however conveyed, then impossible to understand, no I to be found. You said that you, with regard to nimitta, you wanted to also relate it to kalapa, is that right?
No, I think.
Or another topic?
Yeah. I'm not sure.
I think you did mention nimitta earlier, didn't you? In the you said
that was the. I listened to the discussion on samasana jnana. Is that one? And it refers to kalapa, kalapa of realities. So it's. So it's so
Start again.
yeah, I was thinking about the discussion about kalapa, kalapa samasana jnana, I think it's in Pali, which is the rising by group, the rising of realities, the understanding of realities arising by group. And it's I think you explained that kalapa also means not only the rupa, but also can be any group of reality. Can also be kalapa of sanya, for instance, or but it's different. And I was thinking also about the nimitta because the nimitta is it's a group of the same reality, but it's a different moment. But the kalapa is different realities in it must be in different moments as well, because Sanya, the Dhamma arises only one chitta and one of each Tasika at a time. So can you explain more about Kalapa's Dhamma?
So today we'll talk about Kalapa. In Pali, the Thai use the word klum. Many things arise together, no matter what klum, not just only one. So Kalapa is Pali word, and in English it's not Kalapa, it's group. And in Thai it is klum. So the meaning of it is that there cannot be just one reality alone. No matter it is rupa or nama or whatever arises, there must be more than one reality arising together. And that is the word in Pali Kalapa, in Thai klum, ของรูป กลุ่ม ของนาม and in English group. That's all. So can just arupa arise alone? So they have to arise in group, Kalapa. And can Chitta arise alone? That's why Chitta has to arise in group with the other mental factors. That's all. So now that is the understanding of why just one reality cannot arise only, because it has to be conditioned reality, condition its arising. When the condition of seeing arise, they arise together with seeing. 7 mental factor, not one mental factor, but 7 ones, 7 arise with Chitta. So Chitta and Chittasika arise in Kalapa or group in English and Thai in klum. That's all. Not just think about what it means in Pali, not it means, but the truth is that nothing can arise alone. It's clear, no matter when and where, nothing can arise alone. There must be other realities arising with it, as Kalapa or group. That's why when we talk about one reality, there is the understanding that there are also other realities arising together with that Chitta, with that consciousness, more than one. But in one Chitta, in a moment of Chitta, there must be one Chitta with 7 Cetasikas. By way of Sahachata Pajaya, it is conditions, but the condition has to arise together with the Pajayupanna. So we can talk about one reality, and it's known that there are other realities together. Right? For example, we talk about Chitta, it covers or includes Cetasikas, which arises with that Chitta. That's why the firm confidence of the truth, nothing can arise alone. Whatever arises must have conditions for it arising. The rupa, nama, as Mahaputarupa, see, all 4 have to arise together. And Chitta, there must be Cetasikas arising with it. And when we talk about Cetasika, there must be Chitta and other Cetasika arise with it. But we talk just about one at a time. And it's known that there must be other conditions arising too, as Sahachata Pajaya. So now Kalapa group, no matter what.
I think, can we say that if it wasn't for the fact that realities are understood by way of nimitta of many, many realities which have been experienced, but the characteristic is known by nimitta. If it wasn't for the knowing of reality by nimitta, it could never be known that they arise, that realities arise together in groups.
Can we say nimitta is a group of many moments of the realities happen, but not at the same time? Like kalapa?
Why do you want to say that nimitta is a group?
No, I'm thinking just because without similar characteristic, it cannot become the nimitta of realities, like seeing arise and falling away for many moments.
But it's still just one, the characteristic of seeing, no matter how many moments of seeing have arisen and fallen away. When it is the understanding, it is of the characteristic of seeing, not the understanding of many different seeings, just one nimitta as object. So not a group of nimittas, just one nimitta of reality that appears.
No, I mean multiple seeing. Nimitta can only appear with multiple arising and falling away of the single kind of the realities,
Right.
like seeing or visible object, right? So my question is, can we say such nimitta as the group of multiple moments? No, right?
So when the nimitta is experienced, are there those multiple seeings or any of the seeings?
When we can say, Ajahn just mentioned a few moments ago about appear as it is. So I
But
think you
when the nimitta of seeing appears,
right.
are there any multiple seeings at that moment?
Let me think. I'm not quite sure about this point.
Because what is the object at that moment when the nimitta of seeing appears? At that moment when it is the nimitta of seeing that is the object of understanding. Is there seeing at that moment?
Yes, but it fall away already.
It's fallen away, so no, not yes. So all those multiple seeings have gone, and what is left, what is experienced, is the nimitta of the characteristic of seeing. So no group, just the seeing itself.
Okay, yeah.
But what we're saying here is that the seeing could never arise alone. It has to be accompanied by 7 Cetasikas, as you know. So that is a group because they arise and they fall away together. But when it is the understanding of the nimitta of one of those realities, any reality, it's the characteristic of just one reality at a time. No multiple seeings, it's just one nimitta of the characteristic of reality at each moment.
You just mentioned at the moment of the nimitta of the seeing be experiencing, right? So any seeing there, the question moment of ago,
Yes.
right? So I just said the seeing just gone.
Gone.
Right.
So it's not the seeing that is the object. It's the nimitta of that seeing, the nimitta of that characteristic which is experienced.
Sorry, I want to dig down on this point. Of that seeing, it is the single moment, not single moment at some like last moment of the seeing, something like that?
So when it is the nimitta that is experienced, it's not the nimitta of just one moment of seeing. There must have been many seeings arising and falling away in order for the nimitta of the characteristic of seeing to be the object.
So can I say many moments of the nimitta as well? Not just single moment of the nimitta?
At the moment of understanding, it's one nimitta. It's the nimitta of the characteristic of seeing.
But only
and then
single.
At other moments, nimitta of other objects. but only at the one nimitta that is experienced at a time, nimitta of one reality experienced at a time.
So you say one moment of the nimitta can be experienced by citta, just single moment.
So then what is nimitta? What is a nimitta?
Nimitta is just because of the multiple moment of the same characteristic realities arising and falling away is somehow become nimitta. When it arises and falling away, sometimes we example.
It conditions the nimitta, so it doesn't become the nimitta, but the nimitta is like the image of that reality that has arisen and fallen away many times. So it's the image which is the object of the understanding at that moment.
So I suppose that certain nimitta also many moments, not just single moment. Because
so like now, nimitta is experienced, nimitta is experienced, nimitta is experienced,
right,
nimitta of seeing, nimitta of visible object, nimitta of shape, nimitta of dots, nimitta of blue light, nimitta of people on the screen, many different moments, but one nimitta experienced at a time.
One kind of the nimitta or the one moment of the nimitta.
If it is the nimitta of seeing at that moment of understanding seeing by way of nimitta,
right.
It cannot be the nimitta of visible object at the same moment, or it cannot be nimitta of sanya at that moment. It's the nimitta of one reality, the characteristic of one reality at a time.
Okay.
If there's awareness, for example, seeing, is it a single moment of nimitta, or is it multiple moments of nimitta? That was his question. If there's awareness, I think he was asking that situation.
Ajahn mentioned we even Panya high level cannot understand directly of the realities. It understands the nimitta of the realities.
One nimitta of reality at a time. If it's the nimitta of seeing, another moment, nimitta of hearing, another moment, nimitta of Vedana, even the Buddha's great understanding is still nimitta of reality, not nimitta of seeing and hearing at the same time, still nimitta, a nimitta of a reality at a time.
Yeah, I got the point. I think John got my point, right? Yeah.
Let's ask Ajahn that question. Oh, Gurng would like to know when there's awareness of, for example, seeing, it's awareness of the nimitta of seeing. And as we've said, I think it would be many moments of seeing, and thus presumably many moments of the nimitta of seeing.
We understand the meaning of nimitta as whatever arises, it cannot arise alone. There are many other realities arising together. So now, what is seen? If we don't use the word nimitta, it's nimitta, right? But when we heard the word nimitta, there's doubt about it. But it's now nimitta. Why? Because no matter it's the nimitta of arupa or nama, like seeing. See, there is not just single seeing, because there are now hearing, thinking, and so on. So very quickly, from moment to moment. So can just one seeing be experienced?
No.
So what we take now for seeing, sees, is many moments of seeing. So the many moments means the nimitta of seeing. No matter how many moments, as long as it's taken as seeing, it's not just one single seeing, single moment, right? So
sorry, I cannot got this point yet. Yeah.
Seeing now.
Right.
How many moments of seeing, or just only single one?
Many moments.
And many moments condition the idea of seeing. Now, though you don't have to
Okay,
look away.
now idea of seeing. Okay, that
Yeah.
yeah.
So we use the term nimitta of seeing because it's many moments of seeing appear as just that which sees. So even we use the word that which sees many moments, not only one now.
Right. So nimitta at the just a term.
So
It's not.
whatever arises and falls away is nimitta of that characteristic, nimitta of hearing, nimitta of liking, disliking, nimitta of attachment, not only single moment.
Still, when there's the idea of seeing, even though we know there have been many, many moments of seeing, but the idea or the image of seeing is just one
Right.
at a time, no matter how many seeings there were.
Right.
So it's still just the image, the idea of seeing now.
Right. So can I say nimitta at the term? We are talking about something that arising and falling away.
Do you have to say, oh, it's now?
It's now.
Mm.
It's now. Yeah.
Nimitta of everything now. So now from the nimitta of the reality which arises and falls away together, there's moments of nimitta as seeing right now. Nimitta of this, nimitta of everything.
You mentioned the arising and falling away of the nimitta, but actually it's the reality which has risen and fallen away. It's the nimitta of the reality which has arisen and fallen away. The sign of the reality that's fallen away. For each one of those seeings has arisen and falling away. And it's the sign of that. So even when it's the direct understanding of the arising and falling away of reality, it's the nimitta of the reality which has arisen and fallen away, not the nimitta itself which has arisen and fallen away.
And when there is the understanding that we are now in the world of nimitta, it means that there is some understanding of reality. Because with our reality, there cannot be nimitta.
And can you elaborate a little bit more about, you say nimitta of this, of that? So I have a little bit confused.
Oh, what do you see?
I see the cup.
See, you don't see that which impinges on the eyebase.
That is the single moment of the realities.
That's why it's not seen.
So can I say I'm seeing the nimitta of this one?
Certainly, only nimitta. Because what arises falls away in split seconds.
So can I say even not panya arise strong enough, then we can see nimitta of things here.
You'd like to say without understanding?
Sorry, I cannot get your point.
You just want to say without any understanding of the truth. When you say we live in the world of nimitta,
Right.
without the understanding of nimitta,
Right.
you just want to say to anyone, we live in the world of nimitta, but they don't understand what is nimitta. So understanding is more important. Otherwise, we speak the word that we don't understand.
Yes, I mean, because before listening to the nimitta, I think that only at the very high level to see the nimitta of the realities, but somehow Ajahn explained that, hey, this is nimitta of these things, nimitta of the things. You got my point, right?
I think was under the impression that it needs understanding of realities in order to appreciate that what nimitta means. Whereas Ajahn is more or less saying that if you can get the idea of nimitta, then it helps to understand realities. Or did I misinterpret?
When there is touching, it's hardness there, right? Touch and touch and touch and touch. It's not a cup yet. More than that, it conditioned the idea of something with shape and form, right? And that is the nimitta of a reality, akalapa.
Okay, now I got the point. So many moments of the seeing not before, not appear in the mind as the cup yet. Many moments of the nimitta, then the idea of the cup appear, right?
So now, to be truthful,
Yeah.
what is seen?
Ajahn and things. No,
What is seen?
just seen, right?
What is seen?
Seeing.
Seen.
What is seen? The visible
Object of
object,
seeing.
right? But
Something.
something, right?
Absolutely.
Just Ajahn, everything, yeah.
Mhm.
People and things, right?
I'd like to just say hello to those on Zoom, especially Vincent. Sorry you can't join us, Vincent. Is there anything you would like to add or ask about on this or any topic?
Hi. No, just listening. Can you hear me, Sarah?
Yes, we can hear you. Anyway, if anyone wants to join in or ask anything, very welcome. Yeah.
Is nimitta clear now? Is it clear? Who's that on the screen?
As my understanding, there are two kinds of nimitta we are mentioning. The first kind is nimitta of reality now, nimitta of seeing, nimitta of visible object, nimitta of sound. And the other kind is concept, panyati. Is it right? Concept, it means as a cup and the book and the telephone. It's a kind of the panyati you mentioned as a nimitta.
If we don't use the word,
Yes.
see, it's
Yes,
nimitta.
yes,
So we
yes.
use the term nimitta
I see.
because it appears as something.
Yeah. Mm. Thank you, Acharya.
Even seeing, see. How many nimittas are there now?
Many.
So how many cittas and cetasikas arising and falling away?
Uncountable.
Experiencing just one nimitta of this, another nimitta of that. See
Yes.
how fast it is, arising and falling away. That's why we live in the world of nimitta. Who does not live in the world of nimitta?
We're just discussing whether it's correct to say the Arahant in answer to that question. But I think the other day we were saying that the Arahant is also in the world of nimitta because that's life in samsara.
So Arahata knows what is what on the table, as usual. But the understanding is so great that it can understand what is there, as it is not anything at all. No doubt about the characteristic of Dhamma and Rupa, that which experiences and that which cannot experience.
I suppose we could say at the moment of actually experiencing Nibbana, path consciousness, there is not living in the world of nimitta just for that moment.
Because the understanding of what is there, to know that at that moment it's not nimitta. That which does not arise and falls away, can there be nimitta? It does not arise.
But chitta arise to
Chitta arise to experience it, but the object at that moment is animitta.
Even the moment of enlightenment is not I, and the object is not that which arises and falls away. There's no nimitta of that which appears.
And what were you saying are the two kinds of nimitta? I missed your point.
I mentioned that we are talking about two kinds of nimitta. The first kind is a nimitta of the reality, a single moment as a seeing, hearing, and visible object, and etc. And the other kind is panyati, I mean the concept for everything we are experiencing now. Yes.
If there wasn't the nimitta of the seeing or the
Seeing.
visible object, there wouldn't be the nimitta of the sign or the color or the details
Yes.
or the shape
Yeah.
or the
Mm.
Kandi
Yeah,
or Vincent on the screen.
yes, yes.
So
Mm.
because of the experiencing of the nimitta of realities, there is
Yes,
the nimitta
nimitta.
of
Everything.
everything,
Yes.
shapes, details, here and here and here, and that's how
Yes.
this comes in. It's not so much two kinds of nimitta, but nimitta of reality, nimitta of the details, nimitta of the shapes, nimitta of the impression, the idea, layers and layers of nimitta. Brings us to Alberto's, one of his other topics, which is avijja, talking about layers and layers of nimitta. How about avijja?
Yeah, I was talking with Sarah about avijja is a root. It's heitu, like loba and dosa. But when it arises, it doesn't appear like the other heitus do. So we can know that we have attachment. We can know we have aversion. But we cannot know we have ignorance. We don't know that because avijja is not so. The characteristic of avijja is that it just covers up the truth. So how can we know it's there? Because it's just doing its function of covering up what is there, and we have avijja, but we don't know it basically, and that's why it's so subtle and so difficult to understand in order to have less of it, in order to have more understanding and less ignorance.
Are you asking how can avijja be understood, be the object of panya? I mean,
yeah.
how can avijja ultimately be understood? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Do you know the answer?
The thing that comes up is little by little, slowly by slowly, panya arises. Those precious moments of panya, and then the ignorance slowly, like this.
Yeah, but it's the problem is that it doesn't appear like attachment and aversion.
Visible object, yes, that it's much more subtle.
It's much more subtle.
Subtle and powerful. The ignorance, the loba, the aversion. Well, aversion and loba, I see what you're saying, are stronger.
Yeah.
Ignorance can be very subtle and slippery and formidable.
What Alberto is also saying is at a moment of loba or a moment of dosa, avijja is there. It's the root. It's a root at that moment, but it's the lobha or dosa that seem to be more apparent. I think that was the point. And that's how it is.
And when it comes down to it, if it doesn't appear, it can't be known. But then other realities are appearing to be known. And the understanding that is developed by knowing those other realities will be a condition for avijja to be known at some point.
And is one concerned that there's no understanding of avijja or no avijja appearing now?
Yeah, we talk about reality, so define concern.
Kusala or akusala concern. And what about now when not knowing or not understanding? What about avijja right now?
Exactly.
So it's now.
It's interesting because it seems always right there with the briefest of interruption of panya. And then before coming to Ajahn, I didn't realize just how much ignorance, and slowly it's coming, just how much ignorance is there. Like a constant companion almost.
Could I ask, Jonathan says, if it does not appear, it cannot be known. There you mean for beginners like us? Because that's not the same as panya, when it arises, understands things that do not appear to us. Is that correct?
What was the main point again, Shanti? I was just showing again the screen of who was present.
All right. So I think nice to see Alberto. And well, Jonathan said, if it does not appear, it cannot be known. And I'm just verifying that this cannot be known is our conceptual knowing, the experiencing of nimitta. In contrast to that, panya knows in a different way. Panya, when it arises, understands phenomena that do not appear. So those are two different things, and maybe Jonathan can elaborate on what he says when he says, when it doesn't appear, it cannot be known. To what does that apply, and to what doesn't it?
Well, it's just a general comment that panya, of course, if it arises, it takes an object. And if it takes an object, then that reality appears to panya. But generally speaking, we say that only realities that are appearing can be known, meaning that, for example, if something is arising, if a mental state is arising, but it's so weak that it's at the level of an asava, then it won't be the object of understanding by panya. And likewise, if there are realities that have not previously been the object of Panya, then the chances of Panya understanding, taking that as a reality would be slim, but not impossible. So, although we can't say that it's what is appearing more prominently that will be the object of understanding, that's not correct either, because if it's a loud noise or strong dosa, it doesn't mean that that will be the object of understanding. So I don't know if that answers the question.
Of answering it too. One is, the first point is that if that object isn't experienced, then it can't be known. For example, in a Arupa Brahma realm, no rupas, so visible object can't be known, sound can't be known because they're not experienced, they don't appear. If there's very little wrong view and wrong view is not experienced, it can't be known. That's why I mentioned when there's trying to understand, that is the opportunity now to understand the reality of that trying, that ditthi at that moment. And the other point is that avijja arises and falls away throughout the day, but if it's not the object that is experienced, that appears, it can't be understood. So usually it's not known at all. We just have an idea that there's a lot of ignorance, but what about now? Because it can only be known now when it appears, when it is the object of right understanding.
I just needed to hear that more. That's all. Yes, go on.
For example, we know that seeing must be arising now and experiencing visible object, and we can appreciate that the visible object is being taken for something that it's not, because we have the idea of a world of people and things. So, but nonetheless, it is, the visible object is obviously a potential object for awareness and understanding.
All right.
Can
And
I
what
just
about
give... Hey, Shanti, can I just give a quick example? Like
Yes.
Gabby was drinking, like Gabby was drinking a cup of tea, it looks like, just a while ago. So when we say it's known, that means the nature of the Dhamma started to be understood. So we still, if the tea is too hot or cold, do we really know what is fire element? We still think the tea is too hot or the tea is too cold. We don't see that it's just the nature of it. I think when it said can be known, that's not conceptually, that's directly understand the nature. I'm not sure if I am clear.
I guess what I'm getting at is that we cannot know when Panya understands something. Is that making sense?
Sorry, could you say that again? We cannot know what?
We cannot know when Panya does understand, because only Panya knows. So what is the difference between when something appears, that's nimitta, that's not understanding? Do you see what I'm getting at?
The moment of Panya understands what is there, no doubt, no hesitancy. But afterwards, because it's weak, there can be doubt whether there was any understanding, doubt whether that was really avijja, doubt about anything because the understanding is too weak. When it's firmer and firmer, then more and more confidence, less doubt about what Panya is, whether Panya arose. But in the beginning, when it's weak, bound to be doubt, thinking, and taking for I. Did I have understanding? Was this, was this, that? So many aspects of wrong and of ataditi that come in. But it has to develop.
Yes, that's very, very nice to hear. And at moment of thinking, there's experiencing thinking. And what is it that arises? There's chitta and chittasikas. So what appears then? Concept doesn't appear at the moment of thinking, and the rupa has
Right now,
fallen away.
what about right now? What appears?
I can't say. Can I say nimitta appears? It doesn't arise.
Thinking, doubt, seeing, visible object.
So is that what can be known at the moment of thinking?
Like now, what appears? Thinking is just a Dhamma. Doubt is a Dhamma. Seeing. So it's just whatever appears now, no matter whether we call it nimitta or not, no matter whether we use any words or not. At this very moment, like when Alberto was asking about avijja, what about at this moment, not understanding avijja?
So that appears. Okay.
So now
Yes,
is the only time that it can appear.
Right. I'm still getting this difference between appear and arise. Thank you.
Avijja arises, but if it doesn't appear, it's not known. Okay, jump.
Can there be the understanding of hardness when hardness does not appear?
No.
See, only that which appears can be the object of understanding. For example, right now, there is sanya, memory. Can there be the understanding of sanya when sanya does not appear? At moment of seeing, sanya does not appear. It's there for sure, but it does not appear. So how can there be the understanding of that which marks and remembers the object? So what can be understood? It's only when it appears to be object at that moment. For example, now we talk about seeing because there are seeings, but as seeing is not the object of understanding. Can there be the understanding of seeing, not the object which is seen? So now, what is seen appears, and there can be the development of understanding the truth of that which appears when it appears only. That's why at moment of experiencing hardness, no one, right? Only hardness, it cannot be anything or anyone at all. That's the only moment which can develop the understanding of the truth. That hardness is not a box, hardness is not a chair, it's only hardness whenever it's touched. To understand the difference between the nature of the reality, which is there as hard or soft, smell or taste, that cannot experience anything. And at that very moment, there must be a reality which experiences that object. Otherwise, that cannot appear at all. And what is the chief of experiencing? It's different from other mental factors which arising with it. So we learn to understand in daily life, hungry, see, a reality usually is not known as just a reality which feels unpleasant because there is a body at that moment to condition such feeling. And feeling is not hardness or softness, only when whatever appears that can be known. When there's the understanding from hearing, considering the intellectual understanding about the absolute truth, only very short reality appearing cannot be known. So what appears as even hardness is the nimitta of hardness, more enough to be known as it's hard. Just a little moment of touching and moment of experiencing, different. That's why when the world is broken up into just one reality at a time, there can be more clear understanding of that which appears as nothing, hardness only. No matter before that, there can be the idea of something touched, finger or box or anything. But at the moment when hardness only appears, no box, no arms, no legs, the absolute truth of a reality which can be touched is there. To be known that it has to arise, otherwise it's not there to be the object of touching. And even touching itself is different from seeing. There must be conditions for only touching to touch at that moment. No thing at all, only different reality. This is the way to have more confidence of the truth. Hardness, see, everyone knows hardness cannot be anything. It's hard. It can be just hard. So no one and nothing. Letting go the idea of something or nimitta and understand what is meant by nimitta and what is a reality or nimitta of a reality. And then after that, nimitta of shape and form is something. Now we live in the world of nimitta. But without the absolute realities, the nama and the rupa, there cannot be any nimitta of anything at all, or any reality at all. And no one can change the arising and falling away so rapidly, and it conditions what appears as shape and form. As soon as one opens one's eyes, it's that shape and form all around. But in truth, there must be the reality which can be touched, which can be seen, which can be smelled, and so on. That's why no matter in what life, what can be known or experienced is only 6 ways. At the moment of the world of sight, no one there at all, only different nimitta of different colors. And each one has to be touched, experienced by the seeing, not only one moment, many, many moments, as long as it begins to appear as something with shape and form, and more in a moment like now. But in truth, not a moment, many split seconds moment. And this is life. And nothing to be done, just to understand the truth, that even understanding is no one. It arises and understands. And how can it understand if there's no word, no hearing about the truth? It's impossible. That's why the teaching from the enlightened one who has enlightened the absolute truth, that's condition the understanding of each word as it is. Because after his enlightenment, he said, all dhammas are so very, very subtle. All dhammas now are so very subtle. That's why we begin to understand the subtlety of each reality. It cannot be known at all. because no hearing, no considering about the nature of what is there. So as soon as there is seeing, after that 3 moments, ignorance of seeing is there. Wrong understanding of seeing is there. Clinging to being is there. Who knows? Otherwise, there would be no idea that I'm sitting, I'm walking, I'm thinking all the time. Because it arises so very soon after seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting. And this is life, not permanent, because all dhammas are conditioned to arise and then fall away instantly, all the time. As soon as we just thinking about the truth of the dhammas, it cannot let go anything at all. Just begin to understand. And at moment of understanding only, that ignorance and wrong understanding begins to let go very slowly, very little at a time. That's why the one who has the confidence of the truth understand it how long, how patient, how courage it has to be in order to just understand what is there now. Each as it is, seeing is seeing, hearing is hearing, no one there at all. Nothing is permanent. Unknowingly, arising and falling all the time, ignorance all the time, attachment all the time. When kusala does not arise, it has to be moment of akusala. Layers and layers of ignorance and attachment. But right understanding can begin to develop. Seeing the benefit, the precious moment of understanding, because it's only the reality which understands the truth, can discern the truth directly, experience it with understanding. Even a moment of right awareness. Why it's right? Because it arises with right understanding, which knows what the object is at that very moment, as it heard. No one, hardness, cannot be anything or anyone at all. Everything has its own characteristic, which can be known, but no one, only right understanding. So right understanding is a reality. And when it develops, it has more confidence of the truth. Not permanent at all. Breaking world every moment. And when it is experienced as that, it is different from intellectual understanding. Because no doubt about that which is no self, no one, no thing at all. And more than it, letting go ignorance, wrong understanding, which takes it for something in life all the time. I was born, I will die. But in truth, different realities are conditioned to arise and fall away all the time. Since it's so true, it can be directly experienced, but it has to be only right understanding, which can understand what is there, what is that. Otherwise, without understanding the nature of it, how can it understand what is experienced? No understanding from the very beginning, even right now. Seeing is not hearing. Who knows? The moment it arises and falls away. And other cittas in between, unknown. So what is known in each life is only that which appears through 6 doorways, 1 doorway at a time. From life to life, it has been covered up because of ignorance, attachment, and wrong understanding. So when there is the understanding from hearing and considering, it's so true and it can be directly experienced. But there has to be more understanding to let go. What is there now as something, see, like a cup. But in truth, no cup. It's only the moment of seeing that which can be seen and then gone. How can it be a cup? No shape, no form at all. And right understanding understands the truth. It understands what level of understanding is this moment. How much understanding of the truth, of reality, of nimitta of reality, of nimitta of the realities arising and falling away in split seconds, so rapidly. What appears is only shape and form of each doorway. That's why there is thinking about chili, about bread, about butter at moment of seeing. But there must be tasting and touching, which is different from seeing. So sanya plays a big role in life. Each moment marks and remembers wrongly because it does not experience with right understanding of the arising and falling away of whatever now appears. So understanding the truth, have more confidence of the truth. It's so true, and there can be the development of right understanding when there is hearing, considering carefully, wisely, to be able to know what is true and what is not true. Going to meditation center, what for? See, what is the truth? No understanding of what is there now. And since whatever is now real, it has its characteristic. It can be known when it's there. If it's not known now, how can it be known later? So from hearing again and again, it conditions moment of not forgetful about what is there. And it can condition moment of direct awareness instantly, unknowingly, absolutely, anatta. No expectation at all. Otherwise, how can there be more confidence of anattaness? Because all are conditioned by their own conditions, not by anyone, to arise and fall away all the time, unknowingly, right now. So understanding the truth is not different from this very moment. Touching what? Hardness. Now, no attention. But when there's a hearing, it has to be known. Not anything there besides that which is the object of understanding. And what about the accumulation of attachment and ignorance? It has conditions for its arising. After that, see, and there is doubt about the truth, whether it is that which experiences or that which is hard. Because at that moment, when hardness appears, there must be the reality which experiences hardness. We know today we like what kind of fruit, of everything, and what one we do not like, whatever it is, but not as it not self or not me. I like it. See, even attachment is there. It's not known as just a reality which arises to be attached. No one can stop its arising to arise to be attached to that object, because the characteristic of it is not disliking, opposite, by conditions. That's why we learn little by little to understand what is there more in order to have more understanding, more confidence of the truth. For example, we learn about different kinds of citta. They are not the same, but all of them are anatta. And citta cannot be any cetasika at all. Otherwise, there's no term cittanupassana satipatthana, not phassa patthana, not cetana patthana, because sati is that which is the indriya, the greatness of being able to arise to be aware of the characteristic, not just as it seems like cup of thing anymore. It is able to understand it at moment of touching directly of that characteristic. And by then, at that very moment, Panya is strong enough at that level to understand it little by little, until what appears at moment of direct awareness can be only one object, little by little. And Panya knows what level of understanding, whether it is intellectual understanding firm enough not to change, to do something to understand the truth, because that is motivated by the idea of self. And this is life from moment to moment. The precious moment is understanding the truth and understand the way to develop right understanding, to directly experience the object, pati-pati, pariyati, patipati, and pativeda. How long apart from the level of pariyati to be patipati? Quite far apart, depending on the development of understanding, little by little. So at moment of hearing the truth, it's moment of considering to understand the truth. And after that, it's moment of other reality by conditions. That is its natural way. Pakatu panisya pacaya, no one can make it arise. That's why all conditioned realities arise by many, many conditions. We learn about the conditions one by one, but we don't use any name, any term. Just understand. Saha, chata, pacaya. Saha is together. Chata is arise. They arise together. Citta is saha chata pacaya for cetasika, which arises with it. And cetasika is saha chata pacaya for citta and cetasika. We know that, but we don't use the term. But when we heard about the term, we know what does it mean. Saha chata pacaya. Anya manya pacaya, sampayutta pacaya, learning to understand the nature of realities, not just the word. So it's not, it is nimitta, and try to understand nimitta. But nimitta is now, as it appears, as something. And even when it does not appear as something, only a reality, it's the nimitta of that reality. For example, nimitta of seeing right now. Everyone knows seeing is not hearing, it's not thinking, but it's there at moment when it's the object, nimitta of seeing. So we begin to understand the so very subtle realities in life. It's there all the time, but ignorance cannot understand it at all. It's gone. But it's there again, not the same one. Never be the same in samsara, only once in samsara. Just having the understanding of the truth, that's all.
Thank you very much. So getting back to the question, there are many realities in one citta moment arising. So it doesn't mean that they don't arise when we say only one can appear. So I guess that was the big thing I wanted to get clear. And when you said it can be known when it's there, that applies only to one reality, because there are always many more arising, Sajat, but only one is appearing. And is that equal to it is object? One is appearing, one is object?
Right, because at the moment of seeing, many namas arise together, but only one reality is the object. At the moment of understanding, many realities arise together, but only one reality or one concept can be the object at that moment. So what appears is always referring to the object, and there can only ever be one object at a time. So only one reality can ever appear at a time. If attachment is the object of understanding, even though the attachment arose with avijja, avijja cannot appear at that moment. Only one can appear at a time.
And is it also avijja that we cannot know all these other objects but one?
It's avijja that doesn't know anything. So it doesn't know what is life now. It doesn't know what the truth is now. It doesn't know that it's not I that sees. It doesn't know what the object is at the moment. It doesn't understand anything at all because it's avijja.
So it's avijja until we're the Buddha, because we can only know one object at a time. So even when there's panya for one object, there's not knowing all the other chittasikas and whatever.
When any kusala arises, no avijja arises. When any vipaka chittas arise, no avijja at those moments, like at moments of seeing, no avijja, at moments of hearing, no avijja. So even before the Buddha's time, when kusala was developed, no avijja, those moments of kusala, but still no understanding of the truth.
Yes, I that's what I meant.
So we can say generally when there's no understanding, there's avijja, but it doesn't mean at every moment.
But still, when there's understanding, there's still no awareness of all the realities at once. That's impossible. So in that sense, we're still very ignorant. It's not the Chittasika avijja that arises, but there cannot be omniscient. No.
Chansi, can I just interpose here? The aim is not to know all realities at all. And strictly speaking, there is not avijja just because something is not known. Avijja is a reality. It's only there when it accompanies a citta. So the fact that many things that are arising aren't known doesn't mean that they're all the object of avijja. No. And the aim is to develop awareness and understanding of anything that appears so that the misinterpretation of the nature of realities is gradually worn away. So there can be developed understanding even though there may not be any understanding of a number of realities, because they're never going to appear. So we don't need to worry about the massive realities that aren't known. It's more a question of appreciating that it's all about what is appearing and can be known.
Right. I'm not worrying, but I'm more in awe about the omniscient panya of the Buddha. And I agree with what you say.
Panya that develops now will never be the omniscient Panya or the Buddha. So impossible to appreciate or impossible to overestimate or the great wisdom, the omniscient understanding of the Buddha. Whatever he put his mind to could be known, could be understood.
Thank you all.
Kunmeta, do you have any comments on any of these topics? I'd like to just mention to friends that I think in these last 2 years, Meta has joined more Zoom discussions than anyone else because she always supports us in the English discussions, the Vietnamese, the Chinese, the Thai. So we always appreciate having Meta with us.
Actually, I have no question, but I have one thing. Tanajan always remind us, you see, what the most important things in life, and what the purpose of studying Dhamma, just to understand, the right understanding, and also. Most people want to let go of akusala, see, but all akusala come from ignorance. Ignorance cannot eradicate any akusala. Very exciting, see, and the Buddha showed that that's only one way to eradicate all akusala. Only right understanding, the truth. The reality which is appearing right now. So only the way. And also, Tanajan always stressed that the reality, the not only knowing the reality by names or by words, you see, because the reality which is appearing right now, it has its own characteristic. It's arising. Panya can know. You see. So the most important things in life is just to understand the reality which is appearing right now.
And when a friend who visited us the other day said that she thought that there could be more than one way or more than one path and that this is only one way, how would you reply to her?
It's only one way. The Buddha pointed, that's only one way. See, and moments of understanding arise. It's little by little let go, ignorance, attachment, and also wrong understanding. See, because wrong view always takes reality for I. That's why most people always, I can do good. I can purify the mind. Always I. So only right understanding can eradicate all, little by little.
And this is an important point because we often hear, I can do good, or I want to perform more merit, or this is my opportunity for my generosity, but no understanding of reality at all taken for my goodness that I cling to so much. And as you say, actually, in truth, only one way, as taught by the Buddha, the only one right path, only one kind of developing of understanding of realities leading to the development of satipatthana and the right path. And without enough understanding, there cannot be the firm confidence that this is the truth. So people will look for following other ways or shortcuts or other practices, but the understanding has to develop to be really firm to the truth, as you've explained.
Yeah. Only right understanding can let go any akusala.
And that understanding can only be at this
Yeah.
moment.
And also one important things, most people would like to accumulate more parami. You see, once I heard from the one discussion betweenท่านอาจารย์ and อาจารย์ Anop, อาจารย์ Vichai, and อาจารย์ Kampan. And most people would like to give thing, to give money or help other people to have more dana barami, you see. And actually, when right understanding arises, you see, all parami is there. Viriya parami, Khanti parami, Atithana parami, Satya parami is there. Don't need to find anything. It's just only the way to the moment of understand the reality which is appearing right now. Parami is there. See?
All those moments of thinking, I want to do good, I want to develop more paramis. Actually, it's the opposite of paramis that are developing, because it's more and more clinging to the self.
No parami,
I being a good person.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Metta.
Is it clear now about nimitta, Alberto?
Just a little bit more. A little bit more than yesterday.
That's nimitta of Kun Metta. Nimitta of everything. Yeah, the word of nimitta.
You had one more question you would like to bring up this
Actually,
afternoon?
about paramis, I also remember Ajahn saying that in this lifetime, this is the lifetime we can develop them, paramis, because paramis with understanding. So by developing understanding, as you were saying, paramis develop because they need understanding to
so each word of the Buddha must listen carefully and consider the reality which is appearing right now. Moment of understand the reality now. Panya parami is there. Viriya parami is there. See, Khanti parami is there. You see, just the right understanding the reality which is appearing right now. Yeah. Only the way that the Buddha pointed.
Yeah, just by listening to the teaching.
Just only one way. Listen and consider carefully.
And it's such a relief because no one can do anything to develop paramis. Just let them develop naturally with understanding, without trying to do anything at all.
Yeah, by understanding that you are just nimitta and I'm just nimitta. that helps parami as well.
In order to let go wrong understanding, which nimitta for something or someone, is there any way? In order to let go the idea of nimitta as someone and something, is there any way?
Understanding the teachings, that's the only way.
That's why Panya knows itself. Only right understanding can let go the idea of this at moment of touching. When it appears as hardness, it let go the idea of something, little by little. So it's only the moment of satipatthana, which is directly understanding, reality as not anything. Because when it's just hardness, how can it be anything? Hardness touch. Hardness is there. When hardness is there appearing, can hardness be box or table or my finger?
No.
That is the way to let go. The idea of taking nimitta as I or thing.
Like right now, when touching, it's only hardness. So how can it be a table or a notebook or anything? Because it's just hardness that is experienced. How can it be anything?
It's a table there, right? So we can nimitta up there.
But is the table really there, or just actually it's just hardness, but there's immediately the thinking of table or something there.
Right, right.
So in truthfulness, it's the wrong understanding, because it is
Right.
just hardness that is touched.
In other words, at the time of experiencing hardness, it's just the characteristic of hardness that is experienced, and table, all that happens subsequently, like so many uncountable moments later.
And it's consciousness that arises at the body sense that experiences the hardness, just like it's consciousness that arises at the ear base that experiences sound. And that moment of experiencing the hardness or the sound, or rather that consciousness that experiences, cannot know whether it's table or voice. It just experiences. So we appreciate that in theory, but it is yet to be understood. It has yet to be realized by direct understanding, but we can at least appreciate that there has to be a moment of bare experiencing of the sensed or object before there can be any recognizing it as this or that, part of this or that object by thinking. And that's the thinking that follows the moment of sensed or experiencing.
So without the nimitta of the hardness, cannot be the idea of the table, right? And cannot be the I think the
Nimitta of the hardness can never be known. And without the nimitta of hardness, there can never be the idea of table. So everything depends on the nimitta of hardness.
and then nimitta of the table as well.
Nimitta of everything.
As you say. Okay, yeah, right.
Well, just on that point, as I understand it, as John will correct me if I'm wrong, but the consciousness that arises at the sense door to experience an object that impinges on the sense door experiences the object and not its nimitta. Is that correct? Or is that also nimitta?
One at a time. For example, touching at that very moment, can there be anything or just hardness appearing?
Yeah.
And that which experience it.
Right.
Only once is not enough. More and more, the characteristic of hardness appears a little clearer, better. It takes eons, not just very soon at all. But it begins to understand the truth that hardness has to be that which is experienced through the body sense. We don't have to use the word body sense or anything, but at the moment of touching,
think it's another time, but just a quick point. Say at the moment of the Panya experiencing the nimitta of the realities. So because of the nimitta, so it is Panya can only understand the characteristic of such nimitta, and only very high level, like a Buddha Panya, can understand each moment. Because even Panya only can understand the nimitta of the reality. So how can it be? I'm not telling about the how can it be, but Buddha understand that many moments too have the nimitta experiencing the nimitta, right? But without Buddha teaching, someone can experiencing the nimitta of the realities. Can he able to understand that that is the nimitta of realities? Because like inside the egg. You got my point? Okay.
Understanding develops little by little, but however great the understanding, even the Arahat's understanding will never be the omniscient understanding of the Buddha that could understand anything from any life, anything that put his mind to. So this is how the teachings are available to us today. Were you trying to say something? No. And Kusima is Kunmeta's sister. Do you have anything you'd like to add, Kusima?
Who knows now the animittas? Who knows?
Who knows? Because
you know,
yeah,
you know, everyone knows, right? We just try to find out, but in truth, it's so daily life. Or animittas, but it's not known as nimitta. It seems that it's so real. A glass, a table, whatever. But in truth, how come to be nimitta if there's no reality at all? And even reality, which is experienced or known, must be the nimitta of a reality. To understand how great wisdom the Buddha and being able to enlighten the truth, which is now at this moment, does not appear at all. But the truth is that.
I mean, even with the Buddha Panya experiencing the nimitta.
Okay. Why do you know that this moment is nimitta?
No, nimitta of the
But why do you know? How
from
do
the
you
Buddha
know?
teaching.
See, the Buddha. So we have to understand his great wisdom. If we don't understand his word, we don't know how great wisdom about now as nimitta of something and the nimitta of reality. Sundara, please, is there anything to say?
Does anyone else on Zoom have anything they would like to say or add before we finish off?
I think perhaps I'll just add just virtually what Jonathan said, that while there are a lot of realities that can be known by Panya, and of course we know there are many different levels of Panya, what appears is only what can be known. Yeah, it's just that's the way it is. We can't pick and choose. We've never been able to do that. We may think we can sometimes, but that's by conditions too. So the more we can appreciate, the conditionality of everything, the more conditions for understanding and compassion there will be too. So it's a little by little path, and I appreciated what you had to say, Kun Metta. We forget the nature of the present reality most of the time, and I appreciate, as I'm sure everybody else does, your understanding. Just on that point there about different paths, well, there's only one Ekaya my gold. There's only one path, but people by their accumulations have different understandings, and that's okay too. It's just the way it is, and it can't be changed. But I appreciated what you were saying, Kun Metta, that we forget the important things sometimes, and we're very fortunate. And I would like to say too, perhaps too, to you both, Sarah and Jonathan, and also to Tamajan, we're very, very grateful that you commit to sharing the Dhamma with us on such a regular basis lately. It's much appreciated, and we all value it so very much.
It's all other nimitta. Say no doubt about nimitta.
We're going to continue tomorrow. So as I just mentioned in a note, 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. So perhaps we'll see some of you then. Okay, thanks everyone.
But I have time until 6. What is that?
Okay, don't go away.
I just want to thank Alberto. He sent me a survey of Paramatta Dhammas, and he took it from India last time, and he said it's the best book. I agree. I'm still starting, but without these discussions, it would all be abracadabra. And yet I'm very grateful for the book and for Alberto, and for all of you making this possible to be printed and to be understood live. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're very welcome, Chanti. Anytime.
Survey that was printed in Thailand. Yes. Right.
I really recommend. Thank you for printing this book.
By the foundation in Bangkok, yes. And as we have a little more time, as we're not going anywhere, would you like to bring up your question about Tadaramana, Alberto? Why not?
Where is the Tadaramana to be known?
No, not Tadaramana to be known. No.
So what is there now can be known, but it's not known yet. That's why after Dhamma discussion and have some understanding, conditions for akusala, ignorance, and attachment are there instantly. So actually, it's not proper time to study Dhamma anytime. Anytime. Depending. Yeah. But even that one thing that it's not proper, it can be proper time.
Yeah, Loba likes even the word, the teachings. Loba likes everything, even the teachings of the Buddha. So it's not easy to understand them because they are grasped by Loba instead of of understanding because of that's the way conditions are. I mean, we can't escape. We cannot. We cannot do anything apart from listening, which is the one condition, and considering what has been heard.
So as soon as we end up the time, the word of nimitta comes in. Instantly forget that what appears are only nimitta. So the nimitta of that which experiences an object, no matter it is citta before seeing, after seeing, or it is Dhamma at the end of Jamana, they do not appear as they are different ones. As seeing is not sampatichana, and panchadvara vachana is not seeing. But what appears in life, no matter in what plane, only 6 ways. And what is meant by 6 ways, at moment of idle now, it's seen. Something is seen as nimitta. And thinking each word about reality, it's the animitta, because just only one single moment, single reality cannot be directly experienced. That's why nama, rupa, paricetayana, it doesn't mean tathalambhana and santirana, paricetayana, see, but the word is nama, rupa, paricetayana, because even the characteristic which experiences an object is not known as it is right now. We think about that which is the object of seeing, the sound, the object of hearing. What about that which experiences? And the reality which can experience the object is not only citta. There are other mental factors too, which can experience object, but not as citta. They have their own characteristic. So what is the Dhamma? Only that which experiences the object, which does not appear to be object of understanding. So begin to understand the reality which cannot be taken for anyone or anything at all, because there is a reality which arises to experience. Thinking about just arises to experience. One characteristic. Because whatever arises to experience is that which can experience. But there are many, many reality which experience the object. Citta experiences the object. Each cetasika experiences the object. Is there more? When we use the word citta and cetasikas experience the object, is there more than that? So whatever is there, no matter tathalambhana, sampatichana, or anything, they experience the object as the characteristic, as sampatichana, receiving the object after seeing is gone and experience the same object. And when the object hasn't fallen away yet, and Savana ends up, there are moments to experience that which hasn't gone yet. And can we know that? Even the Savana cannot be known as 1, 1, 1, 1 until 7. So what appears that should be realized, the truth from the very beginning is there are only the reality which can experience the object, and it has to experience. And the other group, or what you call Rupa Khanda or Kalapa, that which cannot experience the object. That's all. Each one has its own characteristic, its own function. its own manifestation, like Lopa. See, I like this very much. And the near cause or condition for it to arise. That is not known yet. So how can there be the Sampatichana or Santirana or Votapana or Dhalapana be known? I like that. See, before that there must be many cittas before attachment is there to the object. So there is not yet the understanding of the nature which arises and experiences the object. It's always I. That's why we are not accustomed to the characteristic which is not self. It just experience. That's why we talk about different realities, citta and cetasikas, which experience object from birth to death, never to return, to understand the anothernness, to begin to let go wrong understanding, which can condition moment of directly aware with understanding of that which is now appearing by conditions. And what about Patsa? See, that's why we learn about what are theirs. So very, very subtle. And it seems like as we have heard about that which experiences, it seems like there is enough understanding of that, but only hearing about it. But now, which one arises to experience what object? And if it's not known as different one, only once in samsara, they cannot be letting go the idea of self or things at all. And if there's no understanding of the reality which experiences the object and that which cannot, there must be attachment to other reality like Sampatichana or Tathalapana. As you have no doubt about Sampatichana, why has doubt about Tathalapana?
Because Tadaramana arises also in the mind. Or and doubt as well. I realized that.
We can't hear you, Sarah. Somebody. Yeah, Alberto, I couldn't hear that person who was speaking to you. I presume it was Sarah, was it?
Yeah, question was about Tadaramana arising in the mind. Or do you have?
Yes, I'm
forgot
familiar.
to put her microphone on. She was just saying that if there's ignorance and attachment and no understanding, there's always doubt.
Right. Yeah, mate. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
I think the point behind Alberto's question, because he mentioned it earlier to me, was that we were discussing the other day about why Tadaramana Chittas sometimes have to arise in sense door processes when the rupa hasn't fallen away yet. They're unimportant vipaka Chittas that experience the rupa because that rupa is still there for another couple of moments. And his question is, in the mind door process that follows, Tadaramana Chittas also arise. And I think his question is, why?
That's a good point. I think that's a good question.
I don't think so.
I think so, because the object's already fallen away, so you wouldn't think there would be any need for them to arise in the mind door process. I think, to me, that seems like a good question. What's the point?
Yeah, it's a perfect object for doubt, definitely. Yeah, it sounds like a good question because it's basically because of ignorance. That's why I think that's I notice when I ask myself questions, usually this is the reason, because I've doubt about something, so I ask questions. So that's why I'm saying this. It's not like a good question in that sense, but it's still
just perhaps I say to that sometimes when I see discrepancies or anomalies or irregularities, whatever you like to call them, in Dhamma, I find it helpful to try and understand that, because that can lead on to an appreciation of a more refined understanding of Dhamma, which I think can be helpful, not necessarily, but it can be, and it can clear up doubts or misunderstandings potentially in other areas. So I think it's a useful question. And I would perhaps ask Tatana Jangkap, how come is it, as Alberto says, that yes, we have those Taddaramana, arising in the sense door process when it's what's called, I believe it's Atimanta Ramana, which is a big object, so to speak, which goes right through the 17 moments. And then those Taddaramana will also be in the mind door process. And that seems strange to me, because the object has certainly fallen away at that point. So what is the significance, if any, that they arise in the mind door process?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer. I mean, but Ajahn, can you answer the question?
Before I just speak, could I share my speculation, just maybe for fun? Is
Sure.
it possible to have something to do with how impressive the object is, that condition the sanya to remember it again and again? Even in a dream, we dream about the object. The dream is pure mind or process. And the object is so impressive. Depend on the degree. And that's my speculation, and leave it to Ajahn.
Okay, no, thanks for that, Vince.
Seems like you think that the Taddaramana is important to know, to understand. But in truth, vipaka is the result of karma. It has to arise when time comes. When karma is ready to, condition is arising, it has to arise. That's why no selection to see, to hear, and so on. And as soon as seeing has fallen away, it just see. Think about it. It just see. If no accumulation of wrong understanding, attachment to that object, it doesn't mean anything like the Arahata seeing, because it just see. So, Sampatitana, Santirana, and so on, whatever is vipaka, just arise to be result of karma. That's all. The result is ended, finished, no more. The Taddaramana is exactly the same. As the rupa is the object of seeing, and Sampatitana and Santirana as rupa, the Taddaramana experience that rupa as a rupa that has been experienced by Sampatitana, Santirana. So it doesn't have any influence of more important than the other vipaka at all. Vipaka is the result of karma. It has to arise to experience the object. That's all.
If I can just
John,
ask further, sorry, you keep going, you ask.
please
Go ahead, Eve.
excuse me, Tana John. Thank you, Sundara. The Tadamarana Chitta, the last two of the 17 chittas in the sense store process, last for 17 moments of rupa. The Tadamarana Chitta experience the falling away of the rupa.
That is the same object as all the other chittas in the process.
Oh.
So the visible object is the object of all chittas in the process, including the Tadaramana chittas if they arise.
All right. So what I have I see where the wires are crossed is the moment of arising of the chitta, the jivitindriya, the chitta staying, and then the chitta falling away. And I was interposing that on the 17 moments of rupa, speculating that the Tadaramana experiences the falling away of the rupa, but this is not so.
Tadaramana is not panya. So each rupa has 4 stages. So, but each chitta experiences the rupa just as it is. It's arising, it's staying, falling away. So Tadaramana experiences just the same. It doesn't know anything about it. It doesn't understand it. It's just a vipaka chitta that experiences exactly the same object as all the other chittas in the process, and not jivitindriya. I think that was just the
Chitta, yeah. So it's called, the terminology distinguishes it as Tadaramana chitta simply because those are the last 2 chitta of the 17. For example, it's an object of 17 moments. The rupa lasts for 17 moments. It's simply a way of labeling the last 2 moments. Okay.
So rupa always
Nothing
lasts
special.
for the equivalent of 17 chittas. So it depends when the sense-stored adverting consciousness arises, how much of that rupa has already arisen as to whether the Tadaramana chittas experience the object.
To make it clearer, please excuse me, Sundara, for interrupting. Go
No,
ahead.
no, not at all, Eve. No, I appreciate your questions. It might just be helpful there. Tadaramana. Tad just means that. So that, and aramana, of course, means object. So it's a rather unusual name, you might think, for that. for that, those 2 vipaka chittas, but they just there because they experience that object, as Sarah said, and because the object is still there, it's there for the full 17 moments. There are many times, as Sarah alluded to, that just before that, the object has fallen away by the end of the last jhana. That's called Mahanta Ramana. Anyway, I won't go through them all, but it's just relating to the fact that the object has been a very big object, so to speak. It's just that seems a strange word too, but it was there right from the first Bhavanga Chitta, and it goes right through to the last chitta in the sense store process, which is literally called that object chitta or Tadaramana chitta. Tanajan Kapto, my question is, I'm still curious though about those chittas or Tadaramana, as Alberto alluded to, will still arise in the mind door process. when there has been those tadāramana in the sense door, they will also arise in the mind door process. Is there any significance to that, or it's just that's just the way it is? It's not a question which I will lose any sleep over, but I'm just curious as to why those there is tadāramana in the mind door process when there is also tadāramana in the sense door process.
At moment of thinking, there are many different levels of thinking with a little attachment or so strong attachment. So it doesn't matter, because the characteristic of that which is attached is more important because it's accumulated, while the dharamana does not accumulate at all because it is vipaka. What about the characteristic of reality, citta and cetasika, which is vipaka? Just the result of karma, it has to arise, that's all. Just to experience that object. And who knows that at moment of thinking there is the dharamana or not?
We don't usually know that.
Attachment to that object can be very strong or just very weak. They are all gone. If one tries and tries to understand the dharamana, is there any way?
No, no, impossible.
But what about seeing right now? It is vipaka. Can it be known as it's just a reality which arises to see? No one see at all, and they're seeing almost all day, but no understanding of seeing. So should we think about other thing which does not appear, or understanding a little bit more about that which appears? Because no matter it is the dharamana or seeing, they are vipaka only.
Or detail. I think that what I remembered was that if tadāramana arises in the sense door process, it arises in the following mind door process. Ajahn is nodding. So if it doesn't arise in the sense door process, it doesn't arise in the mind door process, and it doesn't arise in the Rupa Brahma realms because no clinging on to that object as in the sense in the Kamavachara realms.
Okay, thank you.
And whether it arises or not, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't appear for sure.
And it's only vipaka. Is that the dharamana now?
Well, there must be Tanajanka, but well, there often is. I imagine there is often tadāramana, but it will remain unknown.
Can it be known as it is the dharamana?
Well, I doubt that by a very low level of wisdom. I think it probably only because the
cannot be known as it is sampatichana, and some did not be known as it is santirana.
Unlikely Tanajanka.
That's why no clear understanding of the reality which arises to experience yet. Because no matter it is santirana, tadāramana, sampatichana, they are only that which experiences an object. Just thinking about the name, but not the characteristic which experiences the object is not known. It cannot let go the idea of self or things. Does Buddha say to anyone about experiencing the dharamana? Because anyone who came to see him, he asked about seeing, hearing, thinking, attachment, lopa and dosa and so on, that appears in life, in daily life, all the time, even right now. Who knows that there is attachment right now? But it's there. Why attachment can be known? Yeah.
It can be known.
Only when it appears. And it appears in the day, but no one knows. Just know that it likes, it is attached, but not know about the characteristic which just arises to perform that function and then gone. But that which does not appear cannot be known. And there is attachment to know, wanting to know. That's why the past is so subtle, very, very subtle, because it's so natural like now, little by little, develop. Even Sariputta didn't know the time to enlighten the truth as being Sotapanna. And at that moment, does he know what Sotapanna is?
Before becoming Sotapanna, he would
At
know.
moment of becoming Sotapanna.
Then he knows.
Mhm. No doubt. Do you forget Talapana now? At moment of thinking about the Talapana, no moment to develop right understanding of what is there appearing.
The word characteristic of the reality, Ajahn, we used many times. It is the characteristic of the realities, like seeing, is not depend on what it's experiencing, like what it sees. I mean, the characteristic of seeing can be directly understood, independent of what seeing see. Yeah, the question.
One at a time. One object at a time.
Right. Oh, you mean the object of the panya, only seeing, not the visible object, not just seeing. Okay.
That's the point of one nimitta of a reality. And it's always the characteristic of reality, because the reality has fallen away, but it's the characteristic that is known by way of nimitta. So it's the nimitta of the characteristic of that reality that has fallen away. But in short, we just say understanding of seeing. But when we delve deeper, it's the characteristic of seeing. And when we delve deeper, it's the nimitta of that characteristic of seeing that appears.
Just single moment. So it's exactly the same for every moment.
Every moment, every reality that is known,
time.
always.
The
No matter now or for the Buddha or anyone, it's always the nimitta of the characteristic of seeing, no matter how many seeings have arisen and fallen away.
Okay.
Is that the characteristic of that reality?
Okay.
One at a time.
But on the question you ask, the answer is, of course, that the characteristic of seeing is always the same, regardless of the object that is seen. Yes. And it's the same for all realities. So the characteristic of, for example, sound is the same regardless of the shape and form of the sound.
Not change over the time. Yeah, right.
Characteristic of hardness is always a characteristic of hardness, no matter this hardness or this hardness. So we talk about the general characteristics of all realities, the impermanence, the unsatisfactoriness, the not self nature of realities. So it's still the nimitta of the impermanence of the reality, or we talk about the specific realities that have to be known. So the nimitta of hardness, it's the characteristic of hardness.
There doesn't seem to be any sound anymore coming through.
Distractions going on, checking phones and charging
Oh.
phones.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, about the asawa and oga, they are the same realities. Avijja and ditti and bhava and what's the last one? Dhamma. So it's the same akusala is there right after seeing, arise 3 moments after seeing, there is attachment and all three asawa are there, and but it's very sort of slight, weak. They're weak. They cannot do nothing. But the same realities in the mind, or they become like they're like floods, and they really like sweeping away all the kusala basically. So there is only the self and the ignorance, the self and all the. So the question is the same realities that it arises in the sense, or also arises in the mind, or with different strengths, different thinking. At the moment of seeing, in the process of seeing, there is after seeing, there is still the same process. There are still the javana, the chitta rises to enjoy the object, but it's not the akusala is not strong enough to. It's weak, but the same realities arise also in the mind, which follows, and are the one that one that when the self appears and the seeing becomes my seeing, and all the like kamasawa, it's must be the object of seeing, must be the object of hearing, must be the object of touching and tasting, and Ajahn, the question it's why, it's another why. The same realities can have so different same function but different results, because also karma can also be done in the mind, or cannot be in the sense though. I don't know. Maybe you can explain more the realities which the akusala arising in the mind, or compared to the akusala, the javana arising in the mind, or the difference between the javana arising in the mind and the javana arising in the sense though. What's the difference between the?
This was similar to
Okay. You answer then.
I think I can try to recall, say, the javana over the sense door, like over the eye door or the ear door, is the characteristic is the same as the mind door, but it's very subtle, it's light, not very strong. It's some Pali word, but I forgot it. And stronger went over the
when it's
Asava,
so
right.
slight. Yeah.
Right. And experiencing the realities. And in the Maido, it experienced the concept and it's become stronger. I think that they were.
Thinking about it, the more thinking about what's seen, the more dwelling on it, the more clinging to it, stronger and stronger.
Now they are minder and sensor, right? And most minder than sensor. There are moments of minder process than sensor process. Does it appear as even just a little bit difference at moment when it's the sensor and the minder? Now.
No.
The truth is the truth.
I think they appear not so different.
The object which appears through sensor and minder. Can anyone know the difference that it's sensor, not the minder, or minder, not the sensor?
Panya, no.
You know.
I can. Yeah, it's a
there
concept.
Is sensor and minder now.
Right.
And you ask about sensor and minder. So the question is about the object which is seen through sensor and through minder. Is there any just a little different to be known now?
Now.
Yes, because now there is sensor and minder.
No, little. Just very consider about that. It has a different a little bit.
It shows that what experience through minder is exactly the same appearing, like the photocopy.
Jan's talking about the first mind or process following the sense door process. The object is identical, exactly the same. So no difference at all in the visible object or the sound that appears. in the mind or process. But afterwards, more and more mind or processes, more and more thinking, more and more clinging, more and more proliferation about the idea, the impression, the object. So obsessed with the pain in the arm or whatever it is, thinking again about it again and again. But the first mind or process after the sense door process, the object is
That makes
just the
sense.
same. Yeah.
I suppose so. This makes sense.
And the difference between sense door and mind door, can it be known?
It can be known, but it's difficult.
Now,
Now, yeah, I think it could be.
now.
Now not, but it's
So
possible.
when
Panya,
when it's not now, so when
it comes and then it knows. And
when mind door appears.
oh, okay. When it appear, when mind door appear. I confused about the appears and arise again. Mind door appear. You mean the next moment after the sense door? You mean about that, or meaning about the thinking follow-up? Also the mind door.
How many realities can appear at moment of seeing?
At the moment of seeing, seeing appear. Not appear.
At moment of seeing right now, what appears?
I think seeing and visible object appear.
One by one? Only one object at a time?
No.
So at this moment of seeing?
Yes, only one object at a time, cannot be seeing and visible object. If seeing sees visible object, only visible object appears. Only one.
So I'm questioning back what we mentioned about the appear. What the appear meaning?
Going is meaning that both seem to appear simultaneously, even though they may not be simultaneous, but because they're arising interspersed, then both can appear.
Right.
The object appears. Only the object can appear.
Maybe you're having the same confusion as I had before. Appear, maybe it helps, is when it is the object. Appears is the object. Arising is something completely different. What arises are many realities in a citta moment. Appear, when you're asked what appears, means what is apparent, what is object, even if it's nimitta, what appears.
Yeah, so only one reality can appear, but many arise. Because only one reality cannot arise. So it must be a group of reality.
So it is, I'm trying to understand the word appear. It is the appear to the citta to experience? Mind or?
Only? So we're talking about reality right now in order to understand that actually there's no one, no body, no thing at all. And it's so subtle. to understand, because reality appears as something or someone, people and things all around. But in truth, we heard about mind door and sense door, and heard that as soon as there is an object experienced through the sense door, mind door follow. After many moments of Bhavanga, right? Who knows? Now Bhavanga, not known. And mind door process is covered up by sense door. Is it true right now?
It's true.
So mind door does not appear, right?
I don't understand the
Even
appear
thinking
again.
right now, it has to
Right.
think through mind door, but mind door does not appear.
I think the point is, I think people find it confusing when we talk about mind door appearing as to what is meant. But now it seems that there is light all the time. It seems that there is visible object being experienced. So it seems that the sense door object is there all the time. But in fact, the sense door process is just one short process followed by countless mind door processes. So the sense door process seems to be there, seems to overwhelm, there seems to be seeing and hearing all the time. The mind door process doesn't appear. So this is what Ajahn means by, does the mind door appear? But when understanding has been developed, when it is insight, understanding, very clear understanding, then it becomes apparent that most of the time there are mind door processes, mind door objects appearing. Visible object is so brief, just like the dot for an instant, and then thinking about it again and again. So now it seems it's sense door process like light all the time, but as when understanding develops, actually it's mind door processes, mind or object most of the time.
So am I understand correctly about the appear we say? So seeing appear now, right? Visible object appear now. No. No.
Seeing sees, and the object which is seen appear.
The object. Okay.
That which is experienced only can appear.
Okay.
So seeing can never appear through the idle process.
Okay.
It can only appear when it's the object of understanding in a mind or process.
Okay. So now that the sound, the visible object
appears now.
Okay.
And it seems that that sound lasts.
Okay.
And so the mind door doesn't appear. This is like a shorthand for the mind door objects don't appear, because it seems that the sound seems there's visible object.
Mind door, I confused, say thinking. With thinking it's appear, right? Thinking about something.
It's the same object as sense door. It followed the sense door.
Yes.
After Bhavanga.
Yes, as before, the same object, similar object. Because as moment ago, Sarah just say the next moment of the Chitta follow the sense door. It exactly same object of the sense door, only after.
Are there mind door processes now?
Yes. Thinking. No. Sorry.
Your experiencing is not object. It's experiencing. The question is, what is experienced? What is object is the same as what appears. What is object? Seeing is not object. Seeing is experiencing. And what seeing is experiencing is the same as what is object. So object of seeing is visible object. Mind door is not an object.
Okay. Okay. So concept appearing.
But you have to use any word.
Because what appears now, table and chairs, right? But you think you see, and can concept appears through the sense door? So it must be mind. Oh no, but you think you see glass. See.
In the dream, everything just thinking about the concept, right? So it's not appeared anything.
Sense door is hidden by the mind door, because
And door is hidden now by the sense door.
Yeah,
The
hidden
sense
now by
door
the
object
sense.
seems to be there all the time,
Okay.
but then it's the opposite when there's insight. And it's a little bit more subtle, because when we say what appears, if we're talking about, for example, understanding, visible object is experience, but does it appear means, is it understood now? Is it known now?
Gern, do you know the word apparent? Is it apparent? Does that make sense, that word to you, apparent?
Yes, it's from similar, it's a similar word, is it apparent, but is it
I'm
appears?
asking if he is something with that. It's Gern, right? His name?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Or you asking Achan? Oh, you're asking
No,
me?
you.
No.
I'm asking Gern, you.
Pardon, can you say the question again? I forgot.
Yeah. Do you have a meaning for the word? Do you understand the word apparent? Just to change your mind from
Appearing.
the word
Yeah.
appearing that you have stuck with. Is it apparent? Do you understand that? Is it apparent? Do you understand that sentence? Apparent.
Is it known? So when I hear these words, does it appear? Is it the object that is experienced, or is it the object that understands now? Is it apparent? Is it obvious? Is it known? A little bit different meaning.
Yes, obvious is a good one. Is it obvious? Do you understand what is obvious right now?
It's not apparent that the visible object appears now. Actually, it appears, but it's not apparent. It's not known. It's not obvious. It doesn't appear to understanding.
So thinking cannot be understood now because it's not appear. Right? Yeah, I'm thinking, but I'm confused.
And confusion appear now?
Yeah.
At this moment of being confused?
Yes.
Yeah. Because it doesn't have to be called confusion, but that characteristic, it's a reality.
Okay.
It can appear right now, right at the moment.
And the confuse happen over the mind door, right?
Can happen about anything. There
So how
can be
can we say-
confusion about anything at all, but it's a reality that can be known now. And thinking, no matter what it thinks about, can be understood now.
I think my English has some problem. So how can we say the mind door not appear? Because say confused over the mind process, right? And
because the mind door is not clear to you. Confusion is clear when you are confused. But mind door is not clear at all. It's your story.
In what sense?
Confusion.
In what sense are we using mind door here? Because I think Gurng is taking it that thinking is mind door.
oh, mean the door at the first moment of the chitta?
Well, that's what it's good to clarify. So, Ajahn, when we say mind door, we are referring to what?
Does sense door appear?
No,
There is sense door. Does it appear?
no.
Does mind door appear?
Actually, I'm not referred to the reality of the mind door.
We use the term sense door and mind door, but what is the object? For example, eye door, what is the object of citta which arises through mind door?
Visible object.
What is experienced through eye door?
Seeing. You know?
What is the object?
The visible object.
Visible object. So it means that seeing does not appear. Only that which is seen appears.
Just seen appear. Okay.
As seeing does not appear, can mind door appear? No. Only the object of mind door appears.
Yes, only object of the yeah, right. Only object of the mind door appear. So the object of the mind doors could be the visible object, could be the concept of it. Right? It
and
is
usually we think that we have no doubt about seeing and mind door. Right? But in truth, as they do not appear, how can there be the understanding of it?
Yeah.
Even it's there, see, but the seeing does not appear.
Right. I understand that point already.
So in a day, what appears through sense door more or mind door more?
It seems over the sense door, but actually the mind door more.
That's why it covers up the truth. That actually seeing is so short. The object which is seen is so short. That's the moment when mind door appears. Whatever can be known by mind door, it appears to mind door moment.
Right. We are referring to, say, visible object and mind door following the visible object, right? Then the mind door not appear at all.
So the word of truth does not appear as it is. It
Right.
appears as sense door all day. Where about the mind door? More than sense door, in between each sense door process.
So in that context, I understand.
So it does not appear mind door. Until it appears, the world is different.
Okay. For that point, I think I got the point over the sense door. Like,
that's why I study each word about each reality. Seeing is not the object which is seen. And thus mind experience the same object as the sense door as soon as sense door gone. But mind door does not appear, only sense door all day. Seeing, hearing, smelling.
Object it's there or seems to be there all the time, light. Actually, it's not understood. But what about seeing? Because seeing can only be known through the mind door. But if visible object is not understood now, as just appearing for an instant and then gone, then what about the seeing through the mind door? What about the realities through the mind door?
Okay, for that point, I think I got the idea. Say, but after that, many moments of the thinking, attachment, follow up, right? And I'm talking about the later on, like the attachment, I like it. Then can I say attachment appear, or the mind or the attachment itself, not the object of the attachment, appears in that context over the mind door?
Does mind have attachment arising?
Attachment arise over the mind door process.
Sensor?
Sensor, yes, but it's very light, not appear yet. But over the mind door, it can be appear now.
When attachment appears as the object, through what doorway?
The mind door.
Can you tell whether it's sense door or mind door?
I can tell because at her over the sense door, it's very light.
What appears now at the moment of seeing?
Visible object.
No attachment?
Attachment, but it is over the...
Seen.
Yeah, right.
That's why even attachment is so very subtle.
Right.
I think his point is that, yes, in the first mind or process, the object is the same, but in later mind or processes, the attachment is stronger than the very subtle one in the idle process. So the attachment that is known in daily life, right, like the attachment to the delicious lunch, that attachment arises with thinking in the mind or not in the idle process of the moment of experiencing the visible object itself.
And I can say it appears, right, over the mind door, because
if it appears, it appears. Yeah.
Okay.
And when it appears, there's no thought about what doorway. It's just that
right.
reality of attachment. Usually, it's my attachment, but attachment can appear, and it's just a Dhamma,
right,
of no significance.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Can it appear through sense door?
No.
Whenever it appears, it can appear only to mind doors.
Yes. Okay. I got it.
One that experiences a visible object is so very, very unsubtle. Yes. So the attachment when eating lunch that appears is through the mind door.
To learn Dhamma, it has to be learned about what is there now in daily life. Not only the word.
I think his comment or difficulty, if I may put it like that, is because when we say that the sense door covers the mind door, but at that moment of when attachment, the strong attachment appears, and it's through the mind door, obviously. So it seems, so then the sense door doesn't seem to cover the mind door, but still there is the idea that the taste, the delicious taste is still there. But at that moment of understanding, then no covering up at all.
And also in a day, there's a lot of thinking that's not related to what's being experienced through the sense door. So one can be remembering something from yesterday or planning tomorrow. And all that thinking is quite unrelated to the present sense door experiences. and it appears. Can appear.
No.
This is a very good session to listen back to.
Jan just said to this moment, how much understanding is there of the truth?